What's up, guys? We got a highly requested comparison here. The S20 Ultra versus the Note 20 Ultra. Two very awesome older flagship phones that I highly recommend. And a lot of people have been asking me, which one should I get? And they do have some, minor differences, which I think we should definitely go over here because both phones actually run the same chip, but there are some differences that I think comes down to personal preference. So let's go ahead and dive into the price of these two phones. So older flagships, pretty cheap, as I always say. The Note 20 Ultra is actually going to be the more expensive phone here. So you can see, and the price actually has been going up on the Note 20 Ultra. I think it's because it's the last Note phone, with the stylus with SD card support. So you can see it's like $376, $359. So it has been going up a little bit. It used to be close to $300. The S20 is going to be the cheaper option as well too. It's $280 right now. So both close to $300, but the S20 Ultra is definitely cheaper. So you will save money going with the S20 Ultra. It looks like in any market. So even if you're overseas, the S20 Ultra should be cheaper. Alright, so let's start it off with the design. I think the design is very important here because the S20 Ultra is way more comfortable. Samsung used to do the S series phones like this, and then they got rid of it, and then we only get the Note design even with the the newer phones, the S series phones. It's just way more comfortable to hold, especially for a big phone like this. Basically what's going on here is that you have the edges curving, and on the Note it's a more boxy feel, so it kind of cuts into the hand. I just really like the S series design because even if you have smaller hands, it's a big phone, right? Both of these phones are 6.9 inches, but it's not like super uncomfortable to hold, right? And again, this varies on the size of your hands and stuff like that. But I think in general the S series phones are just more comfortable to hold. Like I said, the Note is no problem. If you have bigger hands, you can sort of handle it kind of different like this, but typically you're going to be holding it like this all the way at the bottom. So it just feels more comfortable with the S20 Ultra here. Now, as far as the hardware, I think the Note actually looks better than the S series phone. Let me know what you guys think. But I think it has aged a little bit better. I like the Note's design a little bit more than the S series, especially how they did the camera. Both are glass and metal devices as well too. They're both IP68 dust and water resistant, and they both still look really good. Like I said, S series feels better. Alright, so one of the big differences with the hardware is obviously the S Pen. I think this plays a big role. Honestly, if you don't care about the S Pen, I would just save some money and get the S20 Ultra. Right, that's not the biggest major difference, but that is like a pretty essential difference here. Basically, if you're into digital artwork or you just want to navigate the phone with a stylus, you can't do that. The S Pen feels great on the Note. Like I said, Samsung has a lot of features in here that you can take advantage of with the software as well too, like the Smart Select, and you can actually I like to use this to like color when I'm bored. It really is kind of relaxing. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff that you can do with the S Pen. I did a tips video on it if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, if you don't care about the S Pen, you don't see yourself using it, I would just get the S20 Ultra, honestly. Alright, so for the screens, we pretty much have identical screens here when it comes to specs. Both of these phones are 6.9 inches. They both have the dynamic AMOLED display, 120 Hz HDR10+. They're both 1440p displays, and they both have a very high PPI, the Note 496 and the S20 511. Basically the same display. They both do 120 Hz only at 1080p. The difference here is, like I said, the boxy design versus the more curved design. Like I said, it's easier to handle the S20 Ultra. I think the Note 20 Ultra, I think it is better for watching content simply because it looks more like a TV, right? And I think, like I said, the S20 Ultra is just easier to handle. But as far as these screens, they're pretty much identical, so there's no real difference there. It really comes down to the screen design that you like. And also, they're both curved displays as well too, so that's why I said they're pretty much identical when it comes to the displays. Alright, so both of these phones have pretty similar specs. They both have the Snapdragon 865 chip, which is a beast when it comes to overall performance still in 2023. They both have the base model of 128 gigs and 12 gigs of RAM. They both have SD card support as well too. So when it comes to performance, both of these phones are blazing fast. And here is something that's pretty cool. Both these phones actually run PUBG at 90 frames. They do actually an excellent job at gaming. I do have a gaming test you guys can check out, but they do a fantastic job at gaming. So anybody who is trying to game, these phones are so much better than something like a Galaxy A54 or most mid-range devices. You can really get a pretty good gaming experience if you are like competitive player at PUBG or something like that. You will have a pretty good experience, guys, for the most part. Not only just PUBG or whatever. Opening up applications and everything on these phones, it's pretty fast. Like the experience is very fast on here, so it feels like a new phone today, right? So no issues when it comes to performance here. Both of these phones have the same software update cycle, so they both got their last major OS update with Android 13 One UI 5.1, and they also will be getting security patches from now on. They pretty much can do everything that the new phones can do as far as Samsung desktop support. Reverse wireless charging, secure folders is pretty much nothing on here that the S20 Ultra does, you know, these phones do as well too. So that is really good. You're still getting the latest flagship features with these phones right now. So that is really awesome. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the speakers. Both these phones have stereo speakers, max volume. Start with the S20. So they both actually sound pretty much alike. These are very loud speakers, so even if you cover the bottom speaker, the top speaker on both of these do a very good job. They both have still very fast fingerprint scanners, and you can also take advantage of the face unlock on both of these phones as well too, which is pretty sweet. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys some side-by-side stills, but there is a difference with the cameras on these phones, so let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. So the Note 20 Ultra has a 108 megapixel standard, a 12 megapixel periscope telephoto. It has 5x zoom and the 50 times hybrid zoom on here as well too. So you can go in, zoom in pretty well on this phone and get some pretty nice zoom shots. And like I said, very high resolution photos. So if you're trying to crop, both these phones do a really good job. Shoots in 8K 24 at the max, and then 10 megapixel selfie cam shoots in 4K 60. Now, the S20 Ultra, it does have the 100 times zoom on this phone, which is pretty sweet. So you have also the 108 megapixel standard, 48 megapixel periscope telephoto. It does 4 times optical zoom, 10 times hybrid zoom, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 0.3 depth sensor. It also shoots in 8K 24, then a 40 megapixel selfie cam on here that shoots in 4K 60. So basically, this one shoots in 100 times zoom. So you get to go even further with this phone. So it's kind of similar to what we have now with the S23 Ultra, the newer phone. So I think this is when Samsung first introduced it, right? So yeah, so you have that 100 times zoom, so you can go really far. I'm going to show you guys these side-by-side stills and video. I think these phones both take really good shots. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, here is the Note 20 Ultra, guys. It's a 0.5. You have 5 times zoom as well. Alright guys, here's the video with the S20 Ultra here. And go ahead and zoom in. This is 4 times. We also have a 10 times on here. And this is at 60 frames. Let me know what you guys think here. Now on these Snapdragon models, I'm able to get some pretty decent battery life. I can squeeze about 6 hours of screen on time out of both of these phones, which is pretty good for older flagships. The Note does have a 4500 milliamp hour battery with 25 watt charging, wireless and reverse wireless charging. But the S20 Ultra does have a slightly bigger battery, and I am getting a little bit better screen on time with this phone. I noticed it's got a 5000 milliamp battery, and what's cool about this phone is it charges a little bit faster. I think noticeably faster. 25 watt versus the 45 watt on here. This does charge much faster, which I like. It's 15 watt charging, wireless charging, and then you also have the reverse charging on here, so that's pretty nice. It does have a little bit of advantage when it comes to battery life and the charging speed. So that is pretty much it, guys. I think both these phones are phenomenal. Like I said, it comes down to the overall design of the phone, boxy versus the curve. And then it also comes to, do you want the S Pen? And this has the 100 times zoom, which is always very fun to play with. And yeah, other than that, they're both pretty similar in terms of the cameras, I thought, and also the overall experience. Like the Snapdragon 865, both, you know, flagship chips, still pretty much perform really good in 2023. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.